Okay, the other thing that we're working with is just being able to identify. So in the previous examples, they were telling us that they were similar and asking us to find those corresponding sides and those corresponding angles. So we're going to discuss one more time corresponding. When you have shapes that are similar to each other, their angle measures will be equal to each other or equivalent, and their side lengths will be proportional. So when I'm looking at these two pictures that I have here of these triangles, I want to discuss really quick these measurements on the markings, on the angle measures. If I have 3, that means that A and D are equal to each other. So if I knew that A was 70 degrees, then that means D is also 70 degrees. Those markings are telling us that those are equal to each other or the same measure. So that's one way. They don't always do it that way. Sometimes they give us the degree measures. But here, just identifying and understanding that those markings mean that those are similar, or not similar, that those are equal in measure. So once again, the 2 things that we're going to be checking in this part of the activity is to see if the figures are similar, they have to have corresponding side lengths, have to be proportional. So we're going to check our proportions or our cross products. And then also their angle measures have to be equal to each other. Okay, so let's go ahead. I always like to start with the angle measures myself, because usually that's the easiest to check. So I'm going to leave that up there so that we're able to see that. Okay, so here's our first one. It says, which rectangles are similar to rectangle A? So we know we're going to use A, and we want to check to see which ones are similar. So in order for them to be similar, they must have corresponding angles that are the same measure. So let's check that one first. Well, all of them have right angles, so those perfect little right angle corners. So that's not going to help us decide that. Okay, because all of the angles are right angles. So we're going to have to use corresponding side lengths. So this is where we're going to go through and we're going to check our proportions. Okay, making sure that when we set up our proportions or our ratios that we match sides. So if I set up A, I personally would write it out as 3/6. Now somebody else might do 6/3, and that's okay. But making sure that when I go to do my second proportion, my second ratio, that I put them matching sides on matching levels. So wherever I put 3, I need to put my 2 for this one. So 2/6. So now if I check cross products, I can tell right away it's not, because this is 1/2 and this is 1/3. But if I check cross products, that's 12. This is 18. So these are not proportional. They look proportional, but they're not. Or similar, sorry. But they are not proportional, so therefore they're not similar. So we'll just double check C. So we're going to still use our angle A information, which was 3/6 or 6/3, whatever you prefer. Wherever I had the 3, I have to put the 2/4. So now if I check, that is 12. That is 12. Those are proportional. We already said the angle measures are equal. So our answer to this would be A is similar to C. Okay, those are similar because they are proportional. Okay, so we're checking, are the angle measures equal to each other? Are the sides proportional? Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. Oops. Okay, tell whether the 2 figures are similar, explain your reasoning. So let's check the angle measures first. So do we have the same markings on each of them? Yes, 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 yes. And 3 up here and 3 up there. So all of the angles are equal. So this is a yes. Those are all equal. So now we're going to go ahead and check to see if the sides are proportional. Now here, you don't have to check all 3. You can pick 2 sides from one triangle, and then you have to use the same 2 sides on the other triangle. So maybe I'm going to choose to use these 2, 6 and 4. So I'm going to set it up as 6/4. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the same concept. We have to use the same sides on the other triangle and match sides, match similar sides. So wherever I had 6, I have to put the 9. So 9/6. Now I'm going to check cross products. 6 times 6 is 36. 4 times 9 is 36. Are those equal to each other? Yes. So because I answered yes to both of these questions, then yes, these would be similar. Why? They have equal Angles, they also have proportional sides. So they must meet both of those. We must have yeses to both of those questions. Okay. So let's try. Is that the one I just did? Oh, I accidentally pulled the wrong one back out. Oops. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one. It says, which rectangle is similar to A? So we've already done this one, right? We already did that as our very first one, checking to see which one was similar to A. So I'm going to extend on this. It says rectangle D. So I'm going to draw another rectangle. So rectangle D has 3 units long and 1 unit wide. So it looks something like this. 3 by 1. Okay, and this is going to be our rectangle D. Says which rectangle is similar to rectangle D. So now you are checking these other 3 to see if they're similar. Now keep in mind, I just roughly sketched this. This is a rectangle, which means all of these are 90-degree angles, even though it doesn't look like it. Okay, so we know that all of the angle measures are the same, even though my picture isn't perfect. So now what you guys are going to do is you're going to go ahead and pause your video, and you're going to go through and check to see which one of those other 3, A, B, or C, would have proportional side lengths. So you're going to check the proportions to make sure that the side lengths are equal, because we already know all of the angle measures are equal. So go ahead, pause your video now, and check to see which of those have a proportional side lengths to D. Okay, so when I checked my proportions, letter B was the one that had proportional side lengths because they both had the cross products of 6, or both of them reduced down to 1/3, or both of them had 0.3 if you choose to do them as decimals. Okay, so that's basically it out of this lesson, is working through finding out if you've got figures that are similar. So the key thing to remember out of this lesson is if you have figures that are similar, their angle measures will be equal to each other, equivalent to each other, and their side lengths will be proportional to one another, and they must meet both of those qualifications in order for them to be similar. The other key thing covered in this lesson was corresponding angles. Those are angles that are in the same spot of the figure, and corresponding sides, so sides that are in the same position on each figure.